Central.
So to get that perfect barbecue, you use wood. Are you sure it's safe? Whatever. We put the lighter fluid on, strike the match, and oh! Should we call the fire department? That might be a good idea.
All right, good evening and welcome to the Really Big Barbecue Central Show. This is the show that talks about all things important in the world of barbecue and grilling, broadcasting live and direct from the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame city of Cleveland, Ohio. It is the barbecue capital of the North Coast. I don't care what anybody says. I'm your program host, Greg Rempe. Happy to have you aboard here on your Tuesday evening. If you want to jump in on the show tonight, more than happy to have you. 216-220-0966. You can also email the show, Greg at thebbqcentralshow.com. Those are your two ways to get in touch with me. Anything else you want to find out about the show, you can get at the main website, thebbqcentralshow.com. Here's what's happening on the show tonight. Coming up in about 13 minutes from now, a somewhat frequent guest of this show, somebody that I like talking the barbecue and the grilling with, CB Chef Barry Martin will be joining us. We're going to be talking specifically about the tail. Do you do the tailgate? That's what we're going to be talking about. Mostly, we might get into some other stuff. Should time allow. But that is what is currently on the agenda for this evening. So hopefully everybody will be ready to go, rocking and rolling, as it were. What is going on with my, I guess that would be my right arm to you guys there. Oh, wait. There we go. All I got to do is get in the damn picture. Very good. And for folks who don't know, there's a video side to the show as well. We invite you to check it out. Coming up at 9:35. Do you see him on the World Food Championships at the very end of every episode? Mike McCloud will be joining us. Looking forward to talking with Mike, talking a little bit more specifically on the upgrades that have been made to the outdoor to the World Food Championships this coming season. So looking forward to talking with Mike. Then we'll move on to the second hour. For the third week in a row, a round table. A competition round table. This week, it is all about the pork ribs, brother. That's right, brother. 3 of the, perhaps I should say it like this. Hold on one second, please. Love you. The top 3 rib cooks in all of the land will be joining us at 10 o'clock. Scott Smith, Drew McNatt, Dana Hillis, all will be on the ribs dais, bringing it long and strong. By the way, Drew McNatt, Hogtied Barbecue, currently ranked number 1 in ribs, KCBS. Scott Smith, Q and Stewin' and Brew'N, currently ranked number 2 in ribs, KCBS. Dana Hillis, Big Poppas Country Kitchen, finished first overall in the ribs category for the 2014 FBA season. That just wrapped up. Shout out to Jim Elser for winning 2014 Team of the Year in the FBA, by the way. He's a frequent guest of this show, or a frequent watcher of the show and guest on the show as well. So Dana Hillis will be joining us via FBA, and I believe he gets into the KCBS stuff as well. So the the top 3 rib cooks in all of the land will be joining us at 10 o'clock. So as we've said each of the past 2 weeks, kiss the kids, get the drink, bust out the pen, the paper, get a pen, get a pencil, some type of writing utensil, because they're going to throw down all of the ribs knowledge that you could possibly want savor, pine for, and or ask for otherwise, all here on this show. So there you go, 216-220-0966, Greg at the bbqcentralshow.com. You are watching and or listening to the show. Do me a favor, help spread the love, make a Facebook post, get on the Twitter, or do whatever type of social media that you do. Maybe you're a nerd and you like Reddit. Let everybody know in the Reddit community the show's on. A couple of different links. The main website for the audio stuff, thebbqcentralshow.com for the video side of things. The longtime video syndication partner of the show, outdoorcookingchannel.com. You can also find this, of course, on the Roku. Go to the App Store, download Outdoor Cooking Channel in the App Store, and then you have a live stream option there. And don't forget, you can subscribe to the show on iTunes for all of the audible replays. We number in the 8 to 10 to 12,000 per month, believe it or not, folks. That's right, it's the most popularly downloaded barbecue show in the land. You can also go to my YouTube channel, which you can see right there on the lower third. It's youtube.com/BARBECUE, the numeral 4, the letter U. That's barbecue for you. Outdoor Cooking Channel, obviously, will have video replays. And the main website is basically the clearinghouse for replays, both video and audio. No reason you should ever miss anything on this show. Ever. Did anybody watch the Belmont Stakes the Belmont Stakes? Oh, hello! The Travers Stakes this past weekend, running at the beautiful, majestic, and historied Saratoga race course. And while I guess it wasn't technically the last race he was going to call, but Tom Durkin, longtime race announcer at Saratoga, but for NYRA, the New York Racing Association, is going to be retiring after the meet in Saratoga, and the Travers is the big race during the Saratoga meet each and every summer. And one for the ages. I want to say he never listens to the show that I can imagine. If he ever does, I want to pay tribute by raising a brewski to the one and only Tom Durkin. Enjoy the retirement. I will miss your calls. The race. So the reason I like horse racing is because of Tom Durkin, basically. That guy's a star. Maybe now that he has more time on his hands, I can actually get him onto this show and he can call me calling the show. That is a tasty beverage. So congratulations to Tom on retirement in a absolutely terrific golden horse race announcing career. Folks, I'm drinking a couple brews tonight. It's a craft-made brew. Perhaps you've heard of it. Natural Light. Do you know you can get 12 of these for like $5? It's value personified. Which leads me to the next bit of information that I wanted to share with you this evening. Folks, maybe you didn't know this. Maybe you did. Hangover cure. Drink alcohol in the morning. Yeah, that's right, folks. Scientists have confirmed perhaps what we all knew already. The best hangover cure is basically to never stop boozing. An independent study shows that the hair of the dog could really be the best hangover cure, according to a new book examining the science of alcohol. Devotees of the bacon sandwich, rehydration solutions, and painkillers may be surprised to learn that drinking more after a heavy night could provide more than just a renewed level of tipsiness to stave off alcohol relieves a hangover. Speaking at a Google Talk earlier this year, he said belief in the hair of the dog cure had inspired a wealth of pick-me-up cocktails like the Bloody Mary. The most widely held view states that hangovers are caused by dehydration, but there could be another reason. There is a theory that says the hangover is actually the symptom of very, very small amounts of methanol. The notion is that if a hangover is methanol toxicity, you're going to have another drink, and the ethanol displaces the methanol off the enzyme, and you will feel better. Folks, I don't know about you. I'm in the no shit category. Didn't everybody learn in college after that very first night of underage drinking, tomfoolery, and hijinks? You had the one professional drinking friend. Maybe he was an upper class. Maybe he was buying you beer illegally and shots. shot. And he said, hey, Rep, tomorrow when you wake up, aside from your first thought of being, I want to die, grab a beer, grab some vodka, slam it down. Trust me, you'll thank me because you won't have the hangover like so many others. I got to say, take it from doctors. That guy is right. He's not a kook. Drink more, get rid of the hangover. It's kind of like the Seinfeld episode. Have sex to save the friendship. Drink alcohol to cure the hangover. Yeah, that's right. Folks, Big Poppas Smokers is the one-stop shop anyone interested in barbecue, featuring comprehensive selection of all-American-made grill, spices, sauces, accessories, even a kit that gives you everything you need to make a world-class smoker out of a 55-gallon drum. Big Poppas Smokers made a name for itself by making an award-winning line of championship rubs. Their rubs have won almost every major competition barbecue event, including the 2012 and 13 World Series of Barbecue in Kansas City, the 2012 Jack Daniels Invitational, 2013 Kingsford Challenge, and the 2014 Houston Livestock and Rodeo, and many more to come. Book it. BPS also has banded together with fellow California-based rub company Simply Marvelous Barbecue to form what has now become known as the most popular West Coast offense, defying conventional wisdom. These two California-based rub makers have cornered the market on competitive barbecue and begun to redefine the flavor profile that competitive cooks from across the country have begun to aim for. They've even created a couple of unique competitions, King of the Smoker, which of course brings the best of the best in the world of barbecue, and a head-to-head back-to-basics style competition. King of the Smoker is unique in that contestants may not use any electric devices such as pellet cookers or pit minders. Contestants just allowed to use charcoal wood and their wits to win one of the most high-stakes barbecue competitions around. And then, conversely, the competition that Big Poppas Smokers has started, known as the Guinea Pig, which is a cost-controlled event that helps bring in newcomers to the world of barbecue, also features prize distribution all the way down to 10th place in each category, which helps provide incentive for new competitors to get in the world of barbecue. And on top of all of that, Big Poppas created a unique brand ambassador program called the BPS Elite Team, featuring 15 of the best competition teams in the country, working together to promote camaraderie, competition barbecue, and to benefit children's charities across the United States. Keep in mind, BPS doing all this within the 4 years of its being in existence, turning the competition barbecue world on its head, creating their own unique competitions, becoming a staple of a nationwide restaurant chain, and benefiting children's charities across this great land of ours. It's just the beginning for Big Poppas Smokers. Sterling Ball, the gang out there, appreciate their sponsorship of this show. Sterling's set to be on here in just a few short weeks, by the way. So we'll look forward to talking with him. BigPoppaSmokers.com. That's BigPoppaSmokers.com. And we are back with CB. Stick around. We'll be right back.
Broadcasting live from the Barbecue Central Radio Network studios in Cleveland, Ohio. You're listening to the Barbecue Central Radio Show. Once again, here's your host, Greg Rempe.
All right, welcome back. 216-220-0966. Greg at the BBQCentralShow.com. This portion of the Barbecue Central Show being brought to you by Sam's Club National Barbecue Tour. That's right, 31 cities, $500,000 in cash to be won, plus eternal bragging rights. If you win the whole damn thing, the next Sam's event will be this coming Saturday in the Commonwealth of Richmond, Virginia. That is the regional final that will send the top 10 teams into the national final in Bentonville, Arkansas. That'll take place on September 27th. To keep up with the tour, visit kcbs.us/Sam's Tour. All right, joining me now, someone who appears on this show every so often, talking about hot topics, pun intended, in the industry, has worked for some of the biggest names in the industry, and is a creator of the website Welcome to the Cookout. And tonight he joins me to talk about a subject that will be really kicking into high gear very soon, if it hasn't already. That, of course, the art and sport of tailgating. So let's head on over to the hotline and welcome back, friend of the show. It's CB, Barry Martin. Barry, how are you, buddy?
Hey, Greg. Happy, whatever it is, almost National Bacon Day. That comes up on the 30th. Did you know that?
No, I didn't. Uh-oh. Well, look at this. Hold on a second. I've completely screwed up your picture here, Barry. I apologize. There you are.
Possibly is me.
Well, no, it's actually, while I see where you're going with that, no, it's my non-prowess of the high-tech stuff here. Barry, you've brought up a tremendous topic with this National Bacon Day. That being bacon.
Yes.
I mean, have we had enough of bacon already, for crying out loud? Are we over-baconed as a population?
Well, I think it's kind of silly that everybody puts it on everything and says it makes it better. It's a wonderful food item, used well, used appropriately, used in, moderation. Who doesn't enjoy it? Well, there are a few people, but they're nutsos. But, it's a great thing. But I think the idea of having bacon and everything is a little bit crazy and silly, yeah.
Well, so here's my thought on that. Like, like you said, in moderation or, this or that, it's one thing. But all of a sudden, it seemed to find its way into mayonnaise.
Yeah. I met those guys, by the way.
Lip
balm.
It
didn't taste like bacon.
I was actually a big fan of Baconaise. The guys over at Bacon Salt, Lefko and the gang, yeah. I mean, I thought the product was good, but it just seemed like, especially over the last 2 years, if you could stick bacon anywhere, they were doing it. And the public and people trying to make money off of bacon.
I have, somebody gave me bacon frosting for cupcakes. It was the worst thing I ever tasted.
Bacon lip balm I saw at the Justice clothing store for girls.
Why not just rub bacon grease on your lips?
That's what I'm talking about.
That's
cheaper,
in fact,
healthy.
I got my wife a little thing of bacon just to put behind her ear when she wants to be, hubba, and I feel much better about things. Now I know.
It's no Q cologne. Oh, boy.
Well, and anyway, it's National Bacon Day. Last year, as a joke, we did a poetry contest on Welcome to the Cookout and got some hilarious responses. And so this year, we decided to do it again, and we'll give away some prizes. I have no idea what they'll be, because who cares? It's a prize, and you won. And last year, a delightful person, what was her name? Let me look it up here. Won. She was a hoot. Marilyn Baker Mager.
Oh,
she listens
Marilyn
to the show.
Mayer, friend of the show.
Wonderful lady.
Oh, Hot Sauce Weekly.
She won the bacon frosting. I gave it to her because I thought it tasted terrible, and she was happy as a clam. Her poem last year was, "Bacon is good, bacon is great, bacon is better than chocolate cake."
Uh-oh.
I think that pretty much tells you the caliber of poetry that was submitted. But over at Welcome to the Cookout, we're having some fun with our poetry contest again this year. So you're welcome to enter it just as a hoot.
Welcome to thecookout.com, correct?
Indeed. And in fact, there have been some changes there. When you get there, you will see there's a new lineup, and they're offering a whole bunch of tailgating recipes. I have somebody good person, Robin Lindars, Grill Girl, is now part of Welcome to the Cookout. Scott Thomas of Grillin' Fools is now part of Welcome to the Cookout. Our good friend Chris Grove of Nibble Me This is now part of Welcome to the Cookout. We have, I think, somebody who's just a fabulous cook and going to be a star. Her name is Keita Roberts. She is Girl Carnivore. She's part of Welcome to the Cookout. And I don't know if you've spoken with Julie Reinhardt.
Oh, sure. Years ago, Barry. She's an old friend.
Yeah, she's a good lady. She's part of it. And Lene Beth Oxley, who you know well.
Sugars, yep.
Is our barbecue consultant. So she doesn't write, she doesn't post, she doesn't take pictures, she just cooks. She doesn't mess around. And she's going to wade in once in a while with some commentary, and we'll be taking care of that. And we're going to be adding a few more people. So Welcome to the Cookout is going to be a welcoming place. You're welcome to be there. We'd love to feature your show there too. It's a place for people to come and find resources. Nice folks. Yeah. So thank you for letting me pitch that.
A resource, not snobbery, not it's all about competition or do this or do that or you suck. It's everybody's welcome. Get in the smoke, right?
Answer questions. Everybody's a nice person, and our goal is to help people just be better cooks. Then they can go off and do whatever they want with it. But there are a lot of basic questions that people are afraid to ask. And so this week we're doing a whole bunch of tailgating recipes. And Robin Lindars, who is no goofball when it comes to cooking. I mean, wasn't she on the Today Show recently?
Debatable.
But her recipe this week is s'mores. Did you know s'mores are the #1 dessert cooked over barbecues?
No, I figured it may be peaches or perhaps even
me
pineapple.
Too. No, s'mores. It's like backyard barbecue s'mores.
Oh, that makes
Perfect
sense.
for tailgating. Scott Thomas shares a whole bunch of stuff about staygating. Have you ever done any staygating?
No. Is that where you tailgate in your backyard while you're watching a game?
The TV outside, you sit around, watch it when your team's away from home. So tailgating is a lot of fun. Here in Seattle, I lived on the water in a floating home. People call them houseboats, but it was a little shack on logs, kind of like Sleepless in Seattle. And I lived just about a quarter mile or so from the University of Washington Husky Stadium. And their claim to fame for tailgating, unlike any place else that I'm aware of, is hundreds of boats raft up right outside the stadium. And you tailgate on the aft of boats and on rafts.
Wow.
And I take my little Zodiac over there with a 6-pack of beer, and I'd find somebody who wanted to let me climb on board, and we'd eat. And that was kind of a fun tailgating. What kind of tailgating, I wonder, your listeners do?
Well, this listener goes down to the Muni lot downtown Cleveland when the Browns are getting ready, and we throw down like champions. Because Lord knows we don't show up on the field.
So it's allowed. See, some of the big cities don't allow it anymore.
Oh yeah, Muni lot for generations, 50 and 60 years. It's just you're driving down to the barbecue capital of the North Coast, Cleveland, and then there's this just large surface lot off the highway, 200-300 yards in length and in width, which is mostly used during the day for commuters to get into the city and through our large medical campuses, but on a Sunday in Lake Erie. This place turns into really a loony bin, but perhaps even more than that, a gourmet for the backyard chef. Buses, barbecues, grills. I mean, and it's Cleveland is more of a niche city in the fact that you can go to this portion of the city and you're going to get this kind of ethnicity, and you can go to this portion of the city and get a completely different kind. It's not just one style. You're going to get 15 or 20 different ethnicities in there, and regions and styles of cooking. And if you can get in there and get out alive, it's probably one of the best tailgates that you can actually get into in the entire NFL or perhaps even collegiate seasons.
Well, one of the fellows on Facebook, Midnight Oil Steve Ray, who's a big fan of you guys and everybody else, he said that the best tailgate venues, in his opinion, are Ole Miss, Alabama, Tennessee, Vandy, and Florida. And that speaks to where maybe his geographical presence. Yeah,
the Southeastern Conference.
Just a little bit. I think that's what he's talking about. Now, I haven't been to an Oakland Raiders tailgating party. When they were in LA and I was living there, I used to go to their tailgating parties, and they would get a little dicey, but a lot of fun, a lot of craziness. And what you spoke to something that was interesting, and I think it's a great thing about outdoor cooking that we often forget, because those of us who, I don't compete, but I pay attention to the competition circuit, you're very focused on what you're doing. Everybody talks brisket, everybody talks butt, everybody talks ribs, everybody talks chicken. And that's what they focus.
Yep.
You go to a tailgating event, and there are kind of all kinds of foods being cooked outdoors on grills, on cookers, on amazing things. And it's so much fun. That's the joy of outdoor cooking, don't you think?
Oh, absolutely, Barry. And by the way, we're talking with Barry Martin. Welcome to thecookout.com. This is his website. You can also call him CB if you want. That's his handle out there on the worldwide internets. As far as tailgating is concerned, do you have suggestions that either you've learned through trade and through experience, or perhaps from listeners that you think are important things that people want to consider when getting into the tailgate season here?
Well, I think people who have tailgated a lot and do it all the time have a list, and so they do the checklist. They know what their equipment is. They know they've got all the wipes, all the cleanup. They know they've got the extra ice. They've got the list. So having a list of what you're supposed to take, and then an assignment of who's supposed to bring what, knowing who's your backup, because people forget. But one of the most important things, and I see this sometimes, it makes me nervous, is both the safety when you're dealing with some kind of fire, right? I always carry my barbecue bucket, which is, I just put a tool thing around one of those Home Depot buckets.
Yep.
I always carry a fire extinguisher. you're dealing with fire, you never know. And it's a good thing to have, and some kind of little first aid kit. But safety, food safety, keeping things cold enough and keeping things warm enough. Those are the big mistakes I see. And that'll ruin a tailgate party. That'll ruin somebody's weekend big time if they pick up a little bug from the food that hasn't been handled safely. Or, if there's an injury, and nobody wants an injury, but people get lax when it comes to food safety.
Here's another thing I'm going to throw into that because of the food safety stuff. Especially in a tailgating situation, and obviously for the untrained competition person, this could happen easily at a competition as well. But since we're talking about tailgating, the potential of cross-contamination. So let's say you have your chicken and whatever in a cooler, but it's full of ice. You break it all out, you cook it all down, and I need somewhere to put this extra beer. So you jam it in there with the cooler that just had the chicken in it. And now Timmy, the drunk, grabs one out of the ice bucket, and now he's got food poisoning.
Right. And so the whole notion of food safety, and people just, they get lax, and they think, I've been doing this for years, and it's just something that's very important. So I won't tell anybody how to tailgate, but those are the two things. Have a list of all your equipment, have a list of all your stuff, and prep as much stuff as possible. I've seen some guys who bring a full kitchen, and they've got the big RV and stuff, and they can do that. But otherwise, it's prep it and then the food safety issue of how to pack and how to keep things warm and how to keep things cool. Most important things, don't you think?
Safety is key. I agree with everything you just said. Now, as far as getting this stuff prepared and ready to eat, you have, what has now become a veritable cornucopia of cookers to choose from, to, throwaways, to, the big models that you're going to see on tows and hitches, and then everything in between. Through your time working with some of the major manufacturers, being out on trails and seeing all these different kind of cookers, do you see ones that you would suggest or ones that you think might fit, in better regions or styles than others?
Well, it depends on what you like to cook. That's always the big question, right. What you like to cook at your house or what you like to bring. If you like to grill a lot, I think you're a fan of Brad, but I just recommend to everyone I possibly can grill grates. They fit on your charcoal. You can take them and put them on somebody else's grill and move them around, and you're going to grill beautiful steaks, burgers, the whole 9 yards. So I'm a big fan of grill grates. I don't get paid by them. I buy them just like everybody else, and I think they're a great product. There are a couple of smaller ones. I haven't had a chance to use the little tabletop Traeger, but some of my friends have used it, the little smoker that seems to work real well. Some guys like to bring, I personally have a charcoal Jumbo Joe. It's the 18-inch kettle that's portable. You've seen it.
Yep.
I love it. I think it's a great product. I can do just about anything I want on it. I can't cook a big turkey, but I can do a chicken and burgers and steaks. It's a great charcoal product. And speaking of charcoal products, I think you got him on. Is he on later? Dave?
He'll be on next week. I had kind of a brain fart. And Dave had to suffer through that, but we're going to make up for it by giving him a big segment next week because I'm
Dave
stupid.
Benjamin has been, he's a tailgater, and he developed a product, and he is a startup guy, and he is working his tail off trying to make it happen. I've helped him out a little bit, but man, he has just got full of energy and trying to make his hot box grill. I cook on it here at home. It's very portable, but it's a heavy duty product. That's a great charcoal grill. And then there are a couple of really nice little portable gas grills. One of my favorites, I used to work for these guys. I don't work for them anymore, but the Charbroil Big Easy Smoker Roaster Grill, the propane model, man, I can roast a turkey in that, about an 18-pound turkey in about 90 minutes to a little bit over almost 2 hours. Beautiful. I can do beer can chickens. I can do ribs. I can do wings. I can grill on it. So that's semi-portable, and that's a propane grill. But, these are all personal, don't you think? Everybody's got their own favorite, and I don't want to try to tell. And there's some wonderful small products made out there that are perfect to throw into the back of your car. But this is the other thing having to do with safety, right? Is how many times you've seen a guy not finish letting his briquettes cool off before he puts that in the back of his rig and goes flying down the freeway with briquettes and sparks and stuff. Just silly, but potentially dangerous.
Yeah,
silly stuff.
Got to make sure that the fire is extinguished properly. Yeah. If you have a separate ash can that you can do that with, you might want to think about doing that. To me,
part of that safety, part about, just thinking ahead, not letting the beers get to you.
That's tough in certain situations.
Yeah.
For me, I would want to go and be as portable but as big as I could go. So, something like a hot box or perhaps multiple of those allows you some flexibility. You can break
Sure.
it down, and if you don't have the big vans and the motorhomes and all this other stuff, maybe you got a pickup truck or an SUV or something like that, and it's easy to use, set up, and then break back down once you're done.
Well, this goes against somebody who are traditionalists, but a lot of guys will smoke their ribs. They'll have them ready. They'll put them in the cooler, keep them cool,
Right.
then bring them and finish them on the grill. And, because who has time? Well, unless you get there, real early in the morning. But, and some people do. God bless them. It's fun when you see a great, somebody who's been there all night. But usually they're wasted and can't make it to the game.
Right. And then they've wasted a whole lot of money for nothing.
I think probably more people stay-gate these days. They've got the big screens. They can put them in their man cave out in the garage or put it in their window. And I don't know how they do it, but I've seen a lot more people gathering around to do that, and that's always a lot of fun. So I'm a big fan of that, and that's what Scott Thomas of Grillin' Fools has a big story on Welcome to the Cookout that talks about that. It's kind of fun, kind of silly, kind of fun.
Do you have like a go-to recipes that you like to do, whether you're stay gating or whether you are actually at a sporting event and tailgating?
Well, it depends on who's going to be there. If it's all guys, then I'm going to bring mostly ribs that I've pre-smoked and just finish them off. I might bring some pulled pork that I've got chilled down and put in a crock pot if we've got a generator, or put it in a Dutch oven if we've got some kind of fire I can put it on just to warm it up and finish it up. One of the things that we like to do, of course, always is beef, but man, beef prices are getting crazy.
Oh, yeah.
So we do have a local butcher I go to here where I live who grinds the beef right for me from the trimmings, from all the primal cuts, real good quality. I always pre-make the burgers and I freeze them because I find that they'll cook well or cook the way I want them on the grill. And if they're frozen, it's not a problem to put a frozen burger on the grill. There's this trend, and maybe you or some of you've talked about it, this idea of putting frozen steaks on the grill. I haven't tried that. Have you tried that?
No, I've never heard of it.
Yeah,
Sounds
it's
completely.
A thing that hit this last week where people were talking about putting frozen steaks on the grill, and they actually don't shrink up. They cook better. I don't know about that. And for everybody who's got one, I've done this sous vide thing.
Yeah.
Where you put it in the cryovac.
Yep.
You put it in the water bath and you cook it till about 120 degrees. It's perfectly cooked. Put it in the cooler, then finish it there. It's like a pre-cooked steak. It's beautiful. It's not boiled in the bag. It turns a beautiful steak. Those are some of my go-tos because they're simple. They're easy. I can manage the food better.
One for me, and I was doing it. I was not stay gating at all. I was just had some. The oldest girl is done with the travel softball for the summer, so we actually had a 2-week respite of running around all of Northeast Ohio. Saturdays and Sundays. And we got a bunch of really big jalapenos, cored them out, jammed them with a mixture of cream cheese and breakfast sausage, injected them right in the middle, wrapped them with bacon, atomic buffalo turds, and, cook them for about 25, 30 minutes. You get a little bit of the heat out of them, wilts the skin. I mean, they're so good. Everybody looks at them like, and then they taste them, and they're the first ones to finish them all because they're rat bastards.
Absolutely. Absolutely great stuff. And I can't ignore that. Here, this is my sponsor now, and I think they're still a sponsor of yours too.
Absolutely.
El Diablo Mustard. I've been using their stuff as a mix for meatloaf and putting it on as in place of horseradish with some of the different sandwiches and stuff. So bring along some pastrami and making it with the El Diablo. Plug. I love the El Diablo. It's a great product.
So what we did, because the first we made them 2 days in a row. The first day,
ABTs?
the ABTs. So we cooked them maybe a little too well. There wasn't any real heat with the jalapeno, and I said, "Oh, here's the good news." So I went into the refrigerator and I pulled out the jalapeno El Diablo mustard, and I put it all over the top of the hot bacon.
It's made with real jalapenos. That's real stuff in there. Yeah. That's what I like about it. Yeah.
So we had the zing that we were missing on the actual pepper itself because I took them a little too far. And we recaptured with the jalapeno mustard because it has the jalapeno puree. Man, it was sensational. Plus, really tastes good with the hot bacon.
Now, have you done the, can you take the habanero?
Yeah, I'm kind of a, undercover chili head, so.
Really?
Yeah.
The habanero's way too far for me. I guess I'm up here in the Northwest or something. I'm a lightweight when it comes to those. Can't do them.
Well, it's I think you either got the hot stuff to a certain degree or you don't. And then there's that level where, for some reason, you just like it.
Yeah,
and you can't really explain it why, but you like it a little bit hotter, So, yeah, I mean, me and the wife, we like the jalapenos or the habanero stuff. And we'll mix it in with some other stuff to zip it up a little bit. But, yeah, it's good stuff.
Yeah, so that's then go back to condiments, having the right condiments along that are universal, because you can't bring a whole tray of everything for everybody. You've only got so much room. So having a good something like that, like the El Diablo or your own sauce or something like that, makes a lot of sense.
You can find out more about tailgating if you just head on over to welcometothe.cookout.com. You can interact with Barry and a whole bunch of other people out there, and obviously he's hoping you join in the fun and camaraderie over there. And, Barry, I appreciate the time you spent tonight. We'll look for you again soon, buddy.
Thank you very much. Aloha nui loa.
There you are. And there he is, Barry Martin. CB, as we call him here in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame city. Hope you are ready for tailgate season, folks, because it's becoming fast and furious if you are not careful. That's what I know. Fast and furious. All right, Mike McCloud coming up out of the break. I'm going to talk to you quickly about another way to make your tailgate happy. Butcher's Barbecue. That's right, folks. If you are looking to inject beef or pork or chicken, you can do it with Dave. He is obviously well known for the injections, the pork, the beef, the prime injection, the bird booster. No more whining and complaining about how tasteless chicken is. You have a vehicle to press flavor all the way down into the meat to the bone, for crying out loud, with that bird booster. You can go to butcherbbq.com for more information, or more importantly, to order. If you are looking for the rubs, the sauces, friends, you can live here. Butcher's Barbecue, a full line of award-winning rubs, sauces. I have what is now, I believe, a half pound of honey rub. Went to town on the honey rub, on the Atomic Buffalo Turds, on the ribs, on the 24 chicken thighs I did over the weekend. I call it the North Coast offense, part honey rub and part Big Papa Smoker's money rub. North Coast offense. I'm making it up. Soon to be a winning combination across backyards all over the nation. Maybe you like brisket. He's got a great steak and brisket rub as well. You can find it all at butchersbbq.com. Last but not least, the sweet barbecue sauce. I got 2 more left, and then I'm out, and then I got to reorder. Sweet barbecue sauce wins each time for me. If I don't have my own sauce, I go for few commercially made sauces, and Dave is one that I will reach for each and every time. It's got the good tang. It's got some good heat. It's got no liquid smoke, which I appreciate as a human being. You got a quality sauce here. No easy way out. Grab a box of 6. It's going to go fast. I'm not kidding. No worries about breaking the bank when it comes to shipping either. Items totaling up to $55 ship at $8.50. Between $55 and $200 ship at $9.75. And anything over $200 ships for free. So here's what I'm saying. Just get $201 worth of stuff. Save on the shipping and enjoy the benefits of the injections, the rubs, the sauces. Oh, forget it. Head on over to butcherbbq.com. Stock up now. That's butcherbbq.com. And as Dave Bosco always says, trust your butcher. Always trust your butcher. It's Mike McCloud up next. Stick around. We'll be right back.
Get in the smoke. Call 877-448-0433 to get on the air. Now, here's your host, Greg Rempe.
All right, thanks again to Barry Martin for joining me in this past segment. A little bit of tailgate talk, a little bit of learning about what his website's all about. WelcomeToCookout.com is that website again, if you're so interested. My next guest you can find at MMA Creative. You can find him kind of right at the tail end of these World Food Championship TV shows that you are watching on the TV on the FYI network, Thursdays at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And a friend of this show, let's go ahead and welcome back Mike McCloud. Mike, how are you?
I'm good, Greg. How are you?
I'm doing absolutely fabulous, Mike. Appreciate you asking, and as always, appreciate the time that you give to the show. And a couple different places that we can go to tonight. I know last time we were on, we just kind of ran out of time with the good stuff, and some things still that we could talk about, especially in regards to the TV show. For those that were living under the proverbial cooking rack, the World Food Championships on TV had 6 one-hour episodes. They're airing 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Thursdays. As you see the season kind of get down the line here, Mike, and you're watching finished product after finished product, obviously you have a big hand in this. But if you can remove the businessman, Mike McCloud, from the person just watching it, how do you watch them? How do you think that they're coming out, and what are your reactions to the finished products that you're seeing on the television?
It's tough to see it and be in the position that I am, because you always second guess, or you always think about things that are not shown that you saw in the moment, and that you wish could be told. So as I've been a lifelong writer and editor with journalism training. One of the things that I hate doing is going back and reading content that I've written from years back, or even months back. And it's hard, to be honest with you, it's hard from a promoter standpoint to watch a show and see everything that is televised and not think about things that should have been televised. So I'm probably one of the toughest critics of the show that there could be. I am tickled to death for the people that are on TV as a result of what we were able to pull off and FYI produced. But by the same token, I know 100 other things that occurred, or 100 of the people and stories that should have been told that I can't think of. So it's a mixed blessing. It's good and it's tough at the same time.
I have to tell you, Mike, because that was a little bit more self-critical than I thought it was going to be. The show is good. I mean, you look at it obviously from a much more different perspective than anybody else is going to look at it. But as I watch the shows and see, you get a different angle because all the other things that aren't making it on television, as you said. But as from somebody that's just watching it and consuming it like any other television show, not knowing what else was going around, the stories that you are telling or the people that make it to camera, I think, are compelling. And maybe they don't always make it to the final table, or they're not winning. And I don't even know if that was the hope in who you're following is, your best guess at, hopefully they make it into the next round or what have you. But to me, a TV show was always more about being in this kind of a setting, is more about trying to build some type of an emotional investment into the people that you're following during that particular show. And I think in each instance, to the best of your ability, you've done a good job with that successfully. Is it kind of a shot in the dark with who you're going to be following around and who you decide to put on the television?
The things that I've learned about TV in the last year are remarkable. And what I have learned is that TV loves drama. What makes a great show is people that you build a relationship with beforehand, and then regardless of results, you hope and you root for them, and whether they win or not, you have some compassion for them, or you share in their glory. So yes, I think by design, some of what you see is the best guess TV producers going into the championship as to who would win, who would not win, and trying to share a little bit of both sides of that coin because it makes for a great story. So I appreciate your comments that it was done well. I do think that the producers did a good job of telling the story. I have heard from barbecue people that the barbecue show, the barbecue edition that was aired toward the end of the series, was one of the better representations of any barbecue contest or any barbecue program that's ever been aired on TV. It's not fabricated. It's real. It's a competition, and you see the sweat, the blood, the tears. You see the winners, the losers. So it was a good representation of that. I'm very proud of that. Very, very happy that was captured, and very happy that the people that were shown in that episode got the limelight that they did. The only thing that I think about are all the stories that, like I said earlier, just couldn't be told in 42, 43, 44 minutes. TV has a very finite period of time, and we live in a championship or a barbecue event. We live through a weekend, and there's so much that occurs. You just can't capture it all on TV, and that's the unfortunate thing. So that's why I'm critical. It's not that I'm not happy. I am tickled to death that the World Food Championships in season 2 was aired on TV, and 6 episodes. We're in negotiations right now for season 2 that would share and air the 3rd World Food Championships. We are in deep discussions on whether or not that should be on FYI, which is turning into a very extreme lifestyle channel versus a cooking channel. So we're dealing with a lot of ifs, ands, or buts right now. No pun intended on the buts part. But it's interesting times. We are very fortunate and very happy and very obligated and humbled to be in the position that we are to further food sport as we can through the World Food Championships in Las Vegas, through our super regionals that we're launching this year, and through TV as consumers can watch it and experience it. So it's, like I said before, it's a very, very interesting moment in our careers at MMA Creative.
Mike McCloud is my guest talking about the World Food Championships. Mike, in regards to the upcoming 3rd World Food Championships, there are some expansions of the WFC that are occurring. For the folks that aren't aware, maybe you could expound a little bit on that and exactly what has changed from one season, if you will, to the next.
Thank you. A couple of things that are significant. Number one, we've upped the grand prize purse. So the winner of the World Food Championships in 2014 will take home a check for $100,000.
Wow.
50 grand. So we are fast becoming the biggest and most rewarding food competition that exists, especially in one weekend. That's number one. Number two, we expanded the categories from 7 to 9. We added cheese and we added seafood this year as our 8th and 9th categories. So we're excited to be bringing more people into the fold, into a what we consider Olympics of food or Super Bowl food. Number 3, we've added super regionals. We have the Scottsdale Sizzling Showdown, and we have the Music City Cook-Off, and the Illinois Showdown occurring at the Murfreesboro Barbecue Cook-Off. All 3 of those promise to be very exciting moments for the championship, because we're giving people a chance to prove their mettle, to win some money and earn their way into the championship like they never could before. Prior to this moment, you had to win a designated automatic qualifier or preferred qualifier to get into the World Food Championship, and now you can be one of the top 10 finishing group at one of the super regionals. So whether it's in Scottsdale or Murfreesboro or Nashville, all you have to do is compete in one category. You have to deliver on one super dish, whether it's a cheese or a seafood or a dessert dish, and be in the top 3 out of 20 people in that category, and you can earn your way to the championship. So we're very excited about creating those funneling systems into the championship, and are eager to see how that works and see if we can expand on that in 2015.
I was going to say, as you look forward, assuming the super regionals go off without a hitch, which I'm sure they will, how do you envision the World Food Championships, let's say? And you're a big picture guy. I mean, obviously you're wildly successful in everything that you touch. But how do you see this particular event looking, 3 and 4 years from now?
I think it's going to be the biggest food extravaganza that you can imagine. I believe, just like the Super Bowl, that we're going to have a food experience relevant to the NFL experience at Super Bowl. I believe we're going to have 20 categories. I think we're going to span across 10 days and 2 weekends. I think that we're going to have $1 million prize purse. I think that every major food company that any of us can point to is going to be integrated somehow, some way, whether they're throwing a VIP party for distributors and sales reps, or if they're integrated into the championship and doing a special challenge, much like the U.S. Potato Board or the Alaska Seafood Challenge. We're going to find ways to bring food brands into activation and reward food fans and food competitors like never before. So instead of Kellogg's being on the hood of a NASCAR, I think they're going to find a way to be integrated into the Super Bowl food, which will be the World Food Championships. That's what I see happening in the next 3 to 5 years.
Do you see, this isn't a question that I had outlined to ask, but since you brought it up, I've gotten to know the NASCAR community a lot more intimately than I ever thought I would with the day job. Do you think, or do you foresee, look, I mean, the barbecue guys want to make money, people in general want to make money. If you're good at the World Food Championships, whatever category you're good at or proficient at, do you see, X, Y, and Z company coming up to, Johnny the Cheese Man or Sally the seafood cook and, adorn them with gear and perhaps sponsor them to go out and cook X number of competitions during the course of the year, and we're going to give you this amount of money to do it, almost like a NASCAR type of a sponsorship then?
Absolutely. It's already happening. There's 3 companies that I can mention immediately. Bull Outdoor Products, Goo Cluster, Challenge Butter. Those companies are and initiatives are already sponsoring teams to get their way into the championship, and will be branded up when those competitors are at the championship. So they'll have T-shirts and hats that have those logos on them. We're beginning to see early adopters grab it while it's very affordable, and then one day you're going to see Coca-Cola, you're going to see Kingsford and KC Masterpiece and ConAgra and all those other big brands that are spending gazillions of dollars in NASCAR. You're going to see them levitate toward the food professional, the Rod Grays, the Mike Davises, the Donnie Brays of the world, the Leanne Whitmans of the world. They're going to start aligning with them because they are seen either in competition and they're successful there, or they're seen on TV because of their success and because of their restaurants. They're going to want to start aligning with people that your regular American cooks can resonate with, versus I don't want anything from Jeff Gordon or Dale Earnhardt Jr., but you and I will never, ever, ever, no matter how good we drive, get on a NASCAR track with Dale Jr.
No.
Or with Jeff Gordon. You and I will never get on the 50-yard field goal line with Peyton Manning. But you and I, through a sponsorship or through something like the World Food Championships, can get on the stage and be side by side with Guy Fieri or with Bobby Flay or Rachel Ray.
Yeah.
We can take them on in a throwdown just through a sponsored program. So we have a very unique aspirational platform that once corporations and their marketing strategists wake up to what the leverageable asset is, once they wake up to it, it's going to happen. It's going to explode. So we're right there in front of it. We hope that we're not too early. We hope that the timing is just right, and we're trying to make it happen. We're trying to make sure that the rising tide is good for everyone's boat.
Mike McCloud, MMA creative, also creator of the World Food Championships, is my guest. Mike, are the show, like the show itself, World Food Championships, this will be on replay on and on that you're aware of, or is there some specific cutoff date where they will stop airing this past season?
You know, I don't. I'm not a TV producer. I play one on TV occasionally. I don't know what their ultimate plans are. I think that you will see the World Food Championship Season 1 for some time to come until Season 2 occurs. So it could be in rerun mode for quite some time, and it may be in rerun mode in perpetuity, certain episodes of it, because we know that certain episodes of the 6 did extremely well and some didn't do so well. So it wouldn't surprise me to see 2 or 3 of the episodes be running a year from now, 2 years from now, 3 years from now, even long after Season 2 occurs. So I can't answer for TV. I can't speak on behalf of A&E networks, but I see what happens on other networks, and I think with a new channel like FYI I think content is very important. So they have 6 one-hour episodes of ours that they can do anything they want to with.
He is Mike McCloud, the president CEO of MMA Creative, also the creator of the World Food Championships. Mike, always appreciate the time. Thanks for coming on, man.
I appreciate it, Greg. I hope you have a great evening. Thanks for having me on.
You got it. There he is. Mike McCloud. I didn't want to brag to Mike, but him or I, and it wasn't him, was on Rick Hendrick's G5 over the weekend. Yeah, bitch. Yeah. That's a plane I want to get into. I'm short 40 mil. Anybody want to pony up?
Get that big stuff out of here.
Yeah. If you've never been on a G5, in the words of Ferris Bueller, I highly recommend it. G5. That's right. Folks, a public service announcement from my friend Stephen DeFranco, barbecue jeweler to the stars. True story. He has my watch for battery repair. He is repairing my wife's engagement ring that I got her, and resetting some of her Diamel earrings that I had purchased for her as well. Stephen doing it all for me. I trust him. You should trust him. You can go on his website, StephenDeFranco.com. That's DIFRANCO. Or better yet, give him a call directly, 440-943-2700. Peruse the website, see what you like, give him a call. Say, Steve, hey. Well, ask for Steve first. Then say, Steve, I heard that I need to say I'm a barbecue brother or sister. He'll give you the real discounted price. Forget about that other crap. Don't worry about it. He's going to give you the real price, the barbecue brother, sister hookup. StephenDeFranco.com, 440-943-2700. Watches, gold chains, anklets, bracelets, diamond earrings, diamond rings, the engagement and wedding ring superstore. Tell Big Steve I sent you. He'll hook it up. All right, we're back to wrap the first hour like in seconds.
Big name interviews, advice on cooking brisket and ribs, and the only host willing to share his honest opinion on all things important in the world of barbecue. It's the Barbecue Central Show.
All right, we are literally wrapping it. Oh, crap. We are wrapping it up right now. Well, we're loading for the Ribs Roundtable, folks. You've waited for it. You're going to get it in about 25 seconds. Stick around for the competition Ribs Roundtable. You're listening and watching the Barbecue Central Show right here on the Barbecue Central Networks.
Chad Hayden with Moonshiners Barbecue's 19th annual Jack Daniel's World Barbecue Champion, and this is Barbecue Central.
From my heart and from my hand, why don't people understand my intention?
Happy to have you aboard here for the Really Big Barbecue Show.
We cook because we have to, and we grill because we want to.
Fine, how's it going?
You have a great show. I'm a big fan. So what seems to be the problem here? This man looks like he's dead, and he's in the crackle.
Charbono! It's all about the Charbono, dude!
Succulent fish, what?
He ate 54 wieners.
But listen, Lavernius, shake a face.
I'm shaking like a dog shit peach seeds.
We have top men working on it right now. Who? Top men.
All right, just like that, we are into the second hour. You know what that means? It's a competition ribs roundtable, ladies and gentlemen. That's right. This is the third installment of the competition roundtable for 2014. Tonight, we are covering ribs with the top 3 rib cooks in the country. Joining me tonight, Drew McNatt from Hogtied Barbecue, currently ranked number 1 in the KCBS for ribs. Scott Smith from Q'uin, Stewin, and Brew'N, currently ranked number 2 in KCBS for ribs. And Dana Hillis from Big Poppas Country Kitchen, who finished first overall in ribs for the 2014 season in the Florida Barbecue Association. Gentlemen, appreciate you taking the time out and joining me for Rib Talk tonight. Before we get started into the pre-cook whatnot, let me go down the dais here and see what everybody's cooking on. Let's go ahead and start with Scott Smith.
What is it you want to know?
What you're cooking on there, Scott?
Southern Q500, a water cooker.
A water cooker. When you started, Scott, had you cooked on different cookers and eventually progressed into this, or is this something you just had started with and stuck with?
Something I started with and stayed with. I've been on water cooker my whole career.
Drew McNatt, what are you cooking on, buddy?
I cook on a J3 Jambo.
J3 Jambo. All right. Typically, a Jambo is something you might graduate into. Is that a cooker that you started with right off the top, or is this something you worked into over time?
No, I started off with a dual-axle Brew'N smoker when I first started out. About 4 years ago, we moved to the Jambo.
And last but not least, Dana Hillis, what are you cooking on, buddy?
Man, I've got a collection of cookers. I've been with a Fast Eddie for a long time. I've always got a Fast Eddie on my trailer, and I've played around. I just got a brand new Metal Creek BX50, and I've cooked with it the last 3 contests, and actually won my first grand champion on it last week. So,
is that a pellet cooker or is that a stick burner?
It's a charcoal. It's got a big basket in the bottom. It cooks charcoal, and you put your wood chunks in it.
Do you use?
It's a water cooker also. It's a brand new cooker. They've just come out with it a short time ago, and I managed to get my hands on one, and I kind of like it.
Is that something that you would use any type of a pit temperature control device with, or you just run it as is?
It's got a port built into it for a Guru. You can use it without one. I'm getting pretty familiar in it, but I do like the Guru and the temperature control.
Scott, let me go back to you real quick. Obviously, we're going to be talking about pork ribs here for the balance of the evening, but before we get into that, have you ever eaten any kind of exotic rib that is not pork that you care for?
An exotic rib no, I've never ate an exotic rib, I don't reckon.
Nothing like a lamb rib or fish rib or anything like that?
We had fish ribs that were good one time. Somewhere in Arkansas, I was at a comp, and a guy cooked a bunch of, I don't remember, they called them bull ribs, cat. I don't know if it's carp or catfish or what, but they were pretty neat. Yes, I did.
Drew, anything exotic as far as ribs are concerned that you've gotten into?
I have enough problems with just cooking pork ribs, so no. I don't know, does beef ribs count?
Hey, not pork, so depending on how, you can get those things huge, right? The dino bones?
No, we've never gone big with them, but just normal size, get at Sam's Club and, put them in the smoker and cook them up.
Dana, any exotic ribs that you've had that aren't necessarily pork?
We played with the beef ribs and the short ribs, and we do that quite a bit.
All right. Let me ask you something. Since you guys are competition cooks, maybe a year or so ago there was, whether it was internet banter or not, wanted to get your take on it. Do you think, as far as cookers are concerned, you have pellet cookers that really don't require any type of skill or fire management, if you will? You have cookers that can be stoked with the automatic temperature control devices. Do you think at this point in the competition scene you should just open it up and allow propane, electric cookers, what have you, and maybe see an influx of competitors, or should it still, kind of stay as is? Scott, let me defer to you first for that.
I would be totally open to anything. I mean, gas, propane, electric, that wouldn't bother me. But I think as far as a competitive standpoint, to get the product that probably the three guys you're talking to is just not going to be done without some type of fire management, I would say. I run a fire with no gurus, no assist whatsoever. I run basically a stick mounting fire below a water tank.
Drew, would you have any issue opening up the competition gates and allowing propane, electric, what have you?
Well, I think there's a significant difference between cooking on something like an FE, where it's still, you have the elements that, electricity could go out, you still have to check it and so forth, versus propane and gas. But at the same time, I do own an FE. I'll cook on it from time to time, not in competitions, but, I've got a lot of friends that use FEs out there, and it still takes a skill to use those. So at the end of the day, it's the cook, not the cooker, that's going to make the product. But I'm happy with the way it is right now. And, I'd like to see it just stay the way it is.
Dana, would you have any issue seeing propane cookers or full electric like the Smokettes from Cook Shack being allowed in a competition scene?
I wouldn't have a problem with it. I don't think you're going to get the flavor on a gas grill unless you're going to have to tweak something or do something. These judges are spoiled out there. They're used to wood and charcoal, and I think they'd have a hard time replacing that flavor. But no, it wouldn't bother me at all. It's a fair playing field, I think, with whatever you got.
All right, so a pretty open panel here tonight. We're talking with Scott Smith, Q and Stewing and Brew'N, Drew McNatt, Hogtied Barbecue, and Dana Hillis, Big Poppas Country Kitchen. Gentlemen, let me have you relax just for about 3 minutes here, and then we'll get into the prep stuff here as far as the ribs are concerned. But first, let me talk to the Centralites about El Diablo Mustard. Look, gang, we are in the height of grilling season. El Diablo Mustard wants to turn your ordinary barbecue into some of the hottest stuff on earth. How about trying to add some El Diablo's fiery habanero or roasted chipotle, flaming jalapeno or spicy mango into your sauce? Marinades or rubs. It'll give it that new flavor kick that's hot and intense, perhaps you're missing, that you would otherwise not know. El Diablo features 6 bold flavors. They taste great. They're hot as hell. Try mango for island heat on your meat. You can add a kick of Southwest with roasted chipotle for blazing layers of flavor. Try that steakhouse mustard for a zing of Worcestershire and tangy tomato. How about making an ordinary hot dog into an instant chili dog with El Diablo's Texas chili? Or perhaps try jalapeno on some hot bacon or burger for some real jalapeno puree with that mustard zing. I just did that over the weekend as I was talking with Chef Barry on those atomic buffalo turds I made. Or perhaps try habanero for a flavor inferno for you daring types that demand all heat all day long. Get grilling. Add some flavor to your meat. Add some heat to your meat. Connect with El Diablo on the Facebook and on the Twitters for recipe, tips, and giveaways. Bold flavor, great taste, hot as hell. Again, the website, if you want to check it out, eldiablomustard.com. All right, we're back with the pre-cook events on the Competition Ribs Roundtable 2014 edition. Stick around. We'll be right back.
Broadcasting live from the Barbecue Central Radio Network studios in Cleveland, Ohio. You're listening to the Barbecue Central Radio Show. Once again, here's your host, Greg Rempe.
All right, we are back. We're going to push into the pre-cook or the prep portion of the Ribs Roundtable 2014 edition. Again, Scott Smith, Drew McNatt, and Dana Hillis are making the panel up tonight of three of the best rib cooks in the country. I'll say it. Maybe they will, maybe they won't. Gentlemen, let's get into the the prep stuff. Dana, let me start with you. Spare ribs, baby back ribs, combination of both. What do you like to cook at the competition?
Years ago, I started off with baby backs, but I switched to spares, St. Louis cuts, and I've been a lot more consistent with those. I'm pretty much stuck with those over the years.
Is it consistent in the cooking fashion or more consistent in the scoring fashion that you're seeing with that?
It's like anything else you cook. If you get a good quality rib and they're basically the same size and not big and small, and makes it easier to cook consistently. And as far as the finish, you do this a lot of times and you try to get a consistent product, and that's pretty much what it's all about.
Scott Smith, are you a baby back guy or are you a spare rib guy?
I do spare ribs.
Have you ever messed around with the baby back in competition, or always spares right down the line?
No, I've done babies any times in the past. I have not done any this year.
Did you find that with the baby backs, the scoring wasn't where you were hoping, or what was the, not issue per se, but what didn't you like about baby backs versus spares?
The scoring. It was hit or miss with scoring on the baby backs, even with the same profile. The flavor, it was a hit or miss on scoring. It was either really good or horrible. There wasn't the middle of the road with it at all.
Drew McNatt, spare rib guy or baby back guy?
I'm a spare rib guy.
You're trimmed, St. Louis?
Absolutely.
All right. And just to ask Scott, have you ever messed around with the baby backs from time to time, or just spares right down the line?
If I'm cooking for myself, I actually like baby backs better. But it's not what I want; it's what the judges kind of want and expect, obviously, on the circuit. And in the area I compete in, mostly, I just don't think there's a big push for baby backs. I think they're expecting spares.
Drew, let me stay with you on this follow-up question. How many racks of ribs do you typically cook for a competition?
Well, I cook 4, and there's really no rhyme or reason why I cook that many. That's about how much room I have on my Jambo, so that's what I cook. I find that it gives me the ability to try several and pick from the best. I usually have 2 that are the ones that are going to go in the box, and 2 I just turn and throw away.
Dana, how many racks you cooking for a competition?
I cook a 6-pack. Beer comes in a 6-pack. My ribs come in a 6-pack, and that's pretty much what I do.
Scott, how many racks you cooking for a competition?
Normally 2.
2 racks, all right. Let me go back to Drew for a quick follow-up question. With 4, and then I'll ask Dana with 6. There's a school of thought, at one point, we're talking about a different meat now when I say this, but people were cooking 3 and 4 briskets, and all of a sudden it seems over the past year or so, people may be cooking 1 brisket, and they're taking the time to, I don't know if babying is the right word, but if one seemed to be falling off, you just forget about that one and go back to the one that might be going well. Do you think a similar mindset would be placed on the rib thing? If you were cooking less, you think you would be a little bit more babying of that rack of ribs because you had less than you do now?
Personally, no. If you're going to use the word babying, I look after and monitor all my ribs and try to cook 4 perfectly cooked ribs. And meat's meat. There's always going to be 1 or 2 that taste different than the others, that take on the flavors better than the others. More tender than the others. So for me, that's the reason why I cook multiple ribs. And we have so much money invested in this already. Why not spend just a little bit more and get to that level where you're going to have some quality ribs turned in?
Dana, I'd love your thoughts on the question I asked, and do you follow Drew's line of thinking, or where do you fall out on that?
Drew's line of thing, I think the exact same way. The only reason I cook 6 is in the FBA, at KCBS you turn in 6 bones, maybe 8 bones in your box. Some of the stuff we do down here in the South, there's 15, 16, 18 ribs in a box. I mean, we really pack them full and build some really cool stuff. So you got to have more to choose from. The ribs I buy come in 6-packs, so nothing goes to waste. We cook them all, and hopefully somebody's around to eat a few of them if we got some left.
Scott, let me flip it around for you since you do 2 racks. Had you ever cooked more than just the 2 racks? Is that something you'd work back to? And do you have any thoughts on that whole, babying or watching what you have in a lesser amount versus a greater amount?
Well, I buy 6 to 8 racks.
Oh.
I prep 6 to 8 racks. I just normally cook 2. I mean, I can get everything I need out of 2, but I know what I'm looking for in they usually come in 3-packs. I'll buy 2 3-packs and pick out what I want out of those. There's just not I I've cooked more, but it's like the other guys. The other rack or 2 is going to go in, they're going to go home, you're going to give them away, throw them away, whatever. But no, I usually buy 6. I just cook 2.
All right, next question. We'll go to Drew for this one to start. As far as knife skills and trimming of the ribs, obviously you're dealing with the St. Louis style, as you said. Do you buy them whole and then cut them down yourself, or what's your trimming process of the ribs to include membrane removal if you do that on the backside?
Yeah, so definitely I buy, commodity ribs come 3 to a pack, and I get home and find out the best ones out of that and trim them down into St. Louis and use a paper towel on the back and take off the membrane.
Drew, when you're looking at the rib, like what, for the folks that maybe are thinking about getting into the competition scene, when you're evaluating your racks of ribs that you have getting ready to cut up, like what makes the cut for you and what is going to get kicked off to the side? What are you looking for in a rib?
Well, I mean, first and foremost, I'm looking for, a thick, meaty rib that's well marbled, obviously. But beyond that, I don't want any shiners where the bone is coming through on the tops, obviously. And then I'm looking to see if the bones are straight versus curved. And typically, through the 3-pack, you can find the one that's either on the back or the front. And you're really, in my case, I'm buying that pack for that one rib. And if I get another rib, it's just a bonus. Most people don't know that, if you go to the Sam's Clubs, you don't have to just blindly buy a case from them. You can go pick through the ones that are out there and take them to the butcher, and he'll actually give you case price on the 3 packs that you want to purchase. So that's what I do every week. That way I'm hand selecting mine versus blindly just getting a case. And then when I get home, usually I'm finding one additional bonus rib out of those that I'm using, and the rest, hate to say it, go in the trash.
Scott, let me go to you for that question. As far as trimming process is concerned, are you buying, the full spares and trimming them down yourself, St. Louis style, or you're moving the membrane on the back? And then lastly, kind of what you're looking for when you're evaluating the ribs.
I buy them that's already cut into St. Louis most of the time, and it's like Drew said, you're buying that 3-pack for that one rack that you can see the back or front of. And normally, I always pull the membrane, and there's not I like smaller bones, more meat. I look at bone diameter in the end of the pack as much as I can, because the larger the bone, sometimes the quicker they cook due to the heat traveling through the rib.
Makes sense. Dana Hillis, last on this one, trimming stuff when it comes to ribs. You buying them full and trimming them down yourself, removing the backside membrane, and your evaluation process of ribs when you're looking at them.
Both these guys just covered, the main issues. I agree with it. I don't like a real big, thick bone, because it kind of plays. When you go to slice, you don't get as much meat on each side. Sometimes, if your bones are real big, you got to slice them a little different. But I try to buy St. Louis cut already. It depends on where we're at and what we're doing. But typically, I get St. Louis cut, If not, I'll go to Sam's Club or someplace that has the big full spare ribs and try to pick some out. Just like the guy said, they got to look good on the top of the top rack in the pack is the one that you're buying it for, and you hope that you get another good rack or two out there. But I don't mind cutting down spare ribs at all. We've done it a million times. Look for the nice meaty, not so fatty, no shiners. Definitely pull the skin off the back, and look for consistency and straight bones. I mean, that's pretty much covers it.
Dana, have you ever messed around with those like the compart ribs or those specialty type of purveyor ribs?
I ordered some one time. I had Janet, my wife Janet, does everything for me. I had her order some of those $high-dollar ribs one time. They came to the house, and I can burn them up, mess them up just as easy as I can with cheap ribs. So I try to stay away from those. I just look for some big meaty, store-bought ribs close to the house.
Drew, you ever messed around with those high-dollar ribs before?
Yeah, I have. I when I'm not using Sam's, I use Premier Proteins. They have a Berkshire Duroc blend rib that's really good. That I'll use from time to time. For me, it really is just a matter of the routine, and if it's not broke, don't fix it. So I kind of stick with what's got me to where it has, and that's been just the commodity pork for now. But love the flavor, definitely porky, milky texture to them. My only one complaint is just sometimes they're a lot thinner than a normal rib, so they'll dry out a little quicker.
Scott, you ever mess around with those Duroc deals?
No, I just buy normally straight off the rack, one of the wholesale clubs or Restaurant Depot normally.
Scott, let me stick with you for a return question. As far as rubs are concerned, obviously you guys are all cooking pork butts in competitions, but in regards to the rub, are you using a completely different rub for your ribs that you would use on the pork butt? And if so, is it something that you're making yourself? Or are you buying a commercially available rub? Scott, you go ahead.
I use a commercial available rub that's internet bought.
Drew, using a different kind of rub? Oh, I'm sorry, let me go back. Scott, is it a different rub that you're using for ribs versus pork butt?
Yes, it is. I have a sponsor for both categories, and I use a different rub on both products.
Do you want to mention your sponsors on the air?
Yeah, it's on pork butts I use Wicked Q, which is Jeff Campbell, and on we use Sweet Money from Big Poppas Smokers.
All right, Drew, let me go back to you. As far as rubs, do you use something different for ribs than you would for your pork butt? And is it something you're making yourself or something you can get on the market right now?
Yeah, so I definitely use a different rub for the two. For me, I'm wanting a completely different flavor profile. It is just rubs that I basically just I buy multiple and measure them out and basically just make my own rub out of multiple that you can get online.
The Hogtide, the Hogtide Frankenstein, right?
I guess you could call it
that. Dana, as far as rubs are concerned, on the ribs, different from the pork butt, and is it something you can buy commercially, or are you making it yourself at the house?
My rib rub is definitely different than my pork rub. They're two totally different flavor profiles. And my stuff's easy to find because I make it myself. I have it produced for me. It's Big Poppas Country Kitchen rib rub and Big Poppas Country Kitchen pork rub. I got a website. It's easy to get. A lot of people down here in the South are using it because I see them and they get it from me pretty regularly.
Dana, let me stay with you on this one for follow-up. Do you use any kind of adherent on the meat? Let's call it Worcestershire sauce, let's call it mustard, or something else that helps the rub stick, olive oil, or what have you?
The process I go through when I apply my rub to my ribs, I actually wrap them with the rub on it, and I use quite a bit of sugar, so there's some, the sugar dissolves, creates some moisture, helps hold the rub on, and I don't use anything else. I've played with the olive oils, I've played with the Worcestershire, but pretty much my process goes through. I don't need it.
Drew, Any adherent on the meat as you're getting ready to lay that rub down?
I used to. I used to have a concoction of a bunch of different syrups and sugars and honeys and all that kind of stuff that I would rub onto the ribs before I season them. And just, I think about the time that I switched smokers over to the Jambo, that was too much sugars for it. So now I use the ever famous pork juice from the ribs as my adhesive. So we pretty much just rub them and wrap them, and good to go.
Scott, any type of adherent on the meat as you're getting ready to season up the ribs?
Nope, just rub them and wrap them.
Rub them, wrap them. All right. Scott, let me stay with you on this one. How far in advance are you rubbing the ribs prior to getting them on the cooker?
1 hour.
1 hour, you said, right?
Yes,
okay.
1 hour.
Sorry, I thought you said wow. Drew, how far in advance are you rubbing the ribs prior to getting them on the cooker?
I'm actually rubbing mine around 5 o'clock the previous day.
Right, so you're doing that well in advance. Dana, how far in advance are you rubbing the ribs before you get them on the smoke?
My ribs are the last thing I prep, and it's usually sometime around 5, 6, 7 o'clock, either before cook's meeting or after cook's meeting. Not way too early, but I definitely rub them before I, put my big meats on. I try to have everything done and prep so you can concentrate on the big meats when you put them on.
Do you, Dana? Do you purposely get them out in advance for any type of a room temperature warm up or anything like that?
In our old trailer, we kept everything in coolers. Sometimes we had refrigerators. We definitely pull them out an hour or two before we put them on, just so that they're not ice cold. The new trailer we just built, it's got a little refrigerant that is icy cold. So yeah, they definitely have to come out an hour or two so that, they're not 33 degrees when I put them on the grill.
Scott, do you allow for any type of a temperature come up on those ribs or no?
No, I normally prep mine on Saturday morning at 7:30, 8 o'clock, and put them out. I take them right out of the refrigerator and put right on them then.
Drew, do you allow for any type of a come up to room temperature situation on the ribs?
No, I pretty much just take them out of the cooler and put them straight onto my cutting board and start seasoning them.
All right, Drew, let me stay with you for this one. And, 2 years ago I was laughed out of the room for asking it, but things evolve over time, so perhaps it's different now that I ask it in the 2014 version. Drew, have you ever either brined or perhaps even injected ribs at a competition?
No, I haven't.
Ever?
Ever.
All right. Scott, any ever brined or injected ribs?
Never.
Never. All right. Dana, brine or injected ribs ever at a competition? Don't lie like I know you want.
I'm not going to lie to you. Recently, no. Years ago, I tried everything under the sun. I played with it all to find something that hit. And I don't anymore.
Dana, anything else preparatory-wise that you do to the ribs that we haven't talked about yet before we talk about the cooking stuff?
No, not really. Just, we prep them. We actually wrap them when they're prepped and put them on ice or put them in the refrigerator. And right before we put them on, we check and make sure our seasoning's on the way we want. Might have to touch it up a little bit, but try not to season too heavy and put them on, let them do their thing.
Drew, anything else in the prep stuff that we haven't covered yet?
No. Once I season, I wrap, and they go in the cooler, and I'll look at them again until they're ready to go on.
Scott, anything that we haven't talked about that you do in prep phrase?
No, mine stays simple. I pull them out and season them at the same time, so no.
All right, guys, sit back and relax here just for a couple minutes. We'll get back to the cooking portion here in just a second. We're doing the 2014 Ribs Roundtable with Scott Smith, Drew McNatt, and Dana Hillis. I'm going to talk to you quickly about Cook Shack. That's right, folks. One of the loyal sponsors of the show. Maybe you need an easy and consistent smoker for your barbecue in the backyard. Check out Cook Shack's largest residential electric smoker, the AmeriQ model SM066. You can be a barbecue genius with this easy-to-use smoker. Now, you will get a bunch of great stuff if you order it. Just tell the friendly and professional sales team at Cook Shack that you heard about the AmeriQ model SM066 right here on this very show. You can go to their website, cookshack.com. You can call them toll-free, 800-423-0698. Let me tell you about the AmeriQ quickly. It uses real chunks of wood to smoke your foods. It's inexpensive to operate, energy efficient to the spin glass insulation, and heavy-duty stainless steel construction. Features a digitally controlled thermostat system and a meat probe, and it holds up to 50 pounds of meat and vegetables. All Cook Shack products come with its famous no-risk 30-day money-back guarantee. Use it, abuse it for 30 days. And if you don't like it, send it back. You get your money back. You kidding me? No better deal than that right now. Don't delay. Call them right now, 800-423-0698. That's 800-423-0698. Or visit the website, cookshack.com, and tell their friendly staff that you heard about the AmeriQ model SM066 right here on the Barbecue Central Show. They'll be happy that you told them that. I'll be happy. Crying out loud. Cook Shack, proud sponsor of the show. Happy to have them aboard. All right, we're talking the cooking portion of the Ribs Roundtable 2014 edition right after this. Stick around.
Big name interviews, advice on cooking brisket and ribs. And the only host willing to share his honest opinion on all things important in the world of barbecue. It's the Barbecue Central Show.
All right, we are back with the Ribs Roundtable, moving into the cooking section here. We've prepped the ribs. We've found out what looks good and how we're picking out the ribs, all that good stuff. Scott, let me start back with you. In regards to smoke flavor, is there a specific type of wood that you like to flavor the ribs in particular, or you just use what you got for everything? How do you roll there with the smoke?
Primarily cook with fruit wood, the entire cook for all four categories.
Do you like a specific fruit wood or just whatever you can get your hands on?
Well, I like apple, I like peach, I like cherry, whatever's. I've cooked with all three, and I've won with all three. There's not a lot of difference. Cherry, sometimes I leave it a little darker, but other than that, they're pretty much all the same.
Drew McNatt, what do you like smoke wood-wise?
Yeah, so I primarily cook with Kingsford Competition briquettes, and at the very probably the last 30 minutes of my rib cook before I wrap, a small piece of cherry wood will go on.
Dana, smoke wood in regards to the rib cook.
If I'm cooking on a fast Eddie, it's strictly hickory. I'm all about the hickory. I've done very well with it. It's a
no! What? What happened? Oh, man. Shit. Damn it. I never thought this was going to happen. Hold on a second. 25. My Skype credit ran out. Crap. All right, give me 1 second. They're wondering, what the hell? Where'd he go? Hold on, guys. I'll be right there.
I got cut off.
Hey, I'm back. Sorry, I lost you guys. Greg, are you there?
Sorry about that. Everybody with me?
I'm back.
Yeah. I didn't pay the bill. I didn't pay the phone bill. They shut my phone off. Sons of bitches. All right. Sorry about that. Drew, you were talking about Smokewood. What did you like? I apologize.
Yeah, I said that I used the Kingsford competition briquettes, and then last 30 minutes I put on a piece of cherry wood.
All right. Dana, what do you like for Smokewood?
Hickory. I'm a hickory guy. The 100% hickory pellets on the Fast Eddies, man, I've done extremely well for a long time with those.
All right, Dana, let me stick with you here for the next question. As far as pit temperature when you're cooking ribs, what do you like to keep the pit at?
250.
250, all right. Barbecue temperature. Drew McNatt, what do you like to run the pit at for ribs?
I think you're going to see a gradual increase here. So I would be considered hot and fast. I'm at 300, and then you're going to see ridiculously hot and fast with Scott.
Scott, what do you like to keep the pit at when you're doing the ribs?
350.
350, all right. So we got 250, 300, 350, so a nice 50-degree increase across the line there. Scott, let me stick with you here. I'm going to imagine that perhaps you foiled the ribs at some point. So I guess, A, do you foil during the cook? And if so, when or what causes you to foil? Is it time? Is it color? Is it a mixture? What do you think about that?
It's pretty much a timeline because they're going to be the color I want at 350. It's pretty much a timeline, and I don't really foil them. I just kind of set them in a pan. I leave them on the rack there and set them in a pan, and I do foil the top of the pan, but I don't actually wrap them in a boat like most guys do.
Drew, are you foiling at any point in the rib cook? If so, is it time? Is it temp? Is it feel? Is it color? What do you look for when you foil the ribs? If you do,
yeah, I foil 3 hours into my cook.
Strictly time, or do you look at color at all?
No, it's strictly time. I really, with using charcoal for the most part until the last 30 minutes, my color is usually pretty much spot on.
Dana, do you foil during the cook, and what are your marks on when you should foil?
I started off years ago with the 3-2-1, 3 hours at around 250, and then wrap them for 2 hours, and I do wrap, put a little special magic in there, and I wrap them, but I don't leave them fold tight. Sometimes the skin and everything will pull off the bones on the back if you let them steam too much. But I do wrap them to keep some of the flavor in, and I'm definitely burn up some aluminum foil.
Scott, let me pop back to you for this one. As far as foiling, are you adding anything to the foil? Parquet, tiger sauce, a special witch's brew, what have you? Anything going into that foil as you're doing that process?
Normally, just juice, apple juice.
Drew, anything that you're putting into the foil in regards to extra flavor, anything like that?
Yeah, so we're getting some juice, some sugars, some butters, little concoction of everything.
Dana, what do you like to? You mentioned magic in the foil. What do you like to put in there specifically?
We've got a little brew that we mix up that we pour on top, and it's a combination of a lot. There's sugar in it. There's might be a little honey in it, a little molasses, a little apple juice, a couple other things. Just something to give it some moisture and get that final bit of flavor into it.
Dana, how long are you keeping them wrapped for?
Our basic time is 2 hours, but sometimes it's not quite that long. It depends on, I don't know if it's humidity or if it's hot or if it's cold. Sometimes it's an hour and 15, sometimes an hour and a half, sometimes it's 2.
Drew, do you have a specific time that you keep the ribs wrapped for, or how do you work that deal?
Yeah, I typically, I'm kind of the same way. Usually around an hour and 15 minutes, I'll start checking them, and they're either going to be really close to being done, or it's time to put them up on the microwave oven. And usually between an hour and 15 and an hour 30, and they're off after I wrap.
Scott, how long are you keeping those ribs wrapped for?
I'm normally between 45 minutes to an hour. I'm about an hour open, sometimes 45 minutes to an hour on that wrapped up.
All right, so Scott, let me stick with you for this question. We'll run in reverse order here. How do you know when the ribs are done? Like, what are you looking for? Do you take a toothpick to them? Do you pick them up in the middle and look for that crack in the meat? How do you know when they are done?
I pretty much look at how far they pull back on the bone. I have a pretty consistent pullback week after week, and I like to see 3/4 to an inch of bone pulled back from that top side, and that's typically it's just visual, but I do not poke them or pick them up or anything.
Dana, how do you tell when the ribs are done? You poking, you picking them up? What are you doing?
Man, I'm like Scott there. Mine, when the bone pulls back to right where it's supposed to, it's pretty consistent. I do reach in towards the end and take 2 bones and see how easy they are to come apart. And I kind of gauge it by that. But no toothpick. Temperature-wise, I've had a lot of people ask me what temperature to cook ribs to. And I've tried probing them with a thermal pin, and sometimes they're 195, sometimes they're 205. It depends on how thick the rib is before it gets done. So I really don't go by temperature. I go by look and feel.
Drew, your last one up for here. How do you tell when the ribs are done?
Well, I've got several different ways, but, there's too many factors like humidity, altitude, just different things that affect, when an actual piece of meat's done. And so for me, when I open it up and take a look at it, the first thing I'm doing is I'm looking to see if the bones on the backside are just starting to pop through where the membrane would have been on the back. I don't want it to pop all the way through. Obviously, the bone's going to fall out, but I'm on just that point where they're about to pop through, or they're starting to pop through. And then I do take my thermal pin and I probe them, and usually they're around 203 to 211, somewhere in that range. But, I don't just take them off at 203. I probe them, and if they're in that range, then I kind of just start probing all around and just look to make sure that they're tender and they have that consistency that I want, and then I take them off.
All right, Drew, let me stay with you here on this question. Are you setting a sauce or a glaze prior to taking these ribs off the cooker at all?
No, I don't sauce until they're ready to go in a box.
Scott, setting any type of a sauce or a glaze prior to taking them off the cooker?
I do. I have a concoction of a couple of sauces that I do set for a few minutes before I cut them, yes.
Is it a Blues Hog sauce of some sort?
It is. It's a combination of Blues Hog and a couple other guys out there, Craig's, and maybe Fine Swine or something.
Dana, setting any sauce or glaze before you're taking those ribs off the cooker?
I'm like Drew. I bring them off the cooker and I put a touch of sauce on them and put them in a box. I'm not heavy on the sauce. Hopefully, it seems like the judges in the area where we're at like the flavor of the meat and not too crazy with the sauce.
Dana, anything else that you're doing to the ribs during the cooking process that we haven't brought up yet?
Hour into it, hour and 15 into it, I'm opening up my pull and I'm checking and start checking every 5 or 10 minutes because you don't want them to take off on you and you want to pull them at just the right time, and that's pretty much it. Keep an eye on them. Pull them out, open the foil, let them cool down a little bit before you stick them in a camber or anything so they don't keep cooking on you. That's a mistake some people make, put them in a cooler or camber too fast and they overcook. Try to get that right tenderness, and that's, little glaze of sauce and put them in the box and pray for the rib gods to be on your side.
Drew, anything else in the cooking process that we haven't talked about that you do?
No, that's pretty much it. I don't even put mine in a camber. Mine get done between 11:30 and 11:40, and I usually just put them in a steam pan, and they stay on the rack of my Jambo. If it's hot out, and if it's not, I take them in the motorhome, and they just stay there until it's time to prep ribs.
Scott, anything else that you are doing on the cooking process that we haven't talked about yet?
Nope, I'm pretty much the same way. Mine are usually done around 12:15, and they rest a few minutes. They get cut and put in the box.
All right, so let's get into the post-cook stuff, turn-ins and so forth. Scott, let me go back to here with this one. Regarding the turn-in boxes, and obviously Dana's going to be a little bit different here, but are you a lettuce garnish guy? Are you a parsley garnish guy? Where do you fall out on the garnish stuff?
Lettuce.
Lettuce, all right. Drew, what do you like to garnish the box with?
We do parsley.
Parsley. Dana, obviously, Florida Barbecue Association is a meat contest, so no garnish in there. But when I know you kick over KCBS every once in a while. What do you like to garnish those boxes with?
I play with both parsley and lettuce. My wife's really good at building the parsley boxes, and she packs it in so tight that if they pull a piece of meat up, it's pretty consistently not much parsley hung to the bottom of it. I've played with lettuce, and I enjoy lettuce more because of that factor that it doesn't stick. And I don't know, it's a big change and a lot of fun for me when I go do a KCBS because it's a change of pace from what we normally do. I kind of like doing the greenery.
Scott, let me go back to you. As far as ribs that you're turning in and the racks that you have, how are you going about choosing the ribs from those slabs to turn into the box?
90% of mine is the way they cut. I can tell when I lay them down to cut them if they're where I want them, and I rarely eat a rib.
Drew, how are you deciding what ribs are going into the box?
Similar to Scott, I can pretty much every week I tell my dad or whoever's with me that this one's too dry, this one's too tough, or we've got a winner, just by using my electric knife and cutting them. But I always try one rib from every rack, and 9 times out of 10, one will taste better than the others. And then from there, I just kind of move on from what's important. I go taste down to tenderness. And if I can get 2 racks that are tasty and tender, they're both going in the box.
Dana, how are you figuring out what ribs are going to make the cut into the box to run to the tent?
Pretty much KCBS, if 6 ribs in the box, I pick out 6 that look as much alike as they possibly can. And the same thing, like Scott said, when you cut them, you got good ones. You can feel it when you cut them. 6 in the box in KCBS, FBA style, man, you got to have a pan full of ribs to try and pick some out that all match. And the key to FBA is not seeing any white in the bottom of the box. And the rib box is the hardest one to build to accomplish that. We used to be able to take loose rib meat and put in the bottom of the box, and you could stack your ribs across top of that, but they haven't allowed that for several years. So it's a little more creative. Got to have a few more good ribs to play with to try and build a nice uniform box.
Drew, let me go back to you here for this question. As far as when you're cutting them, do you go like straight single bone, or will you attempt to do what is called the Cadillac cut?
No, we just considering we're wanting a full box as well, and we're turning in minimum of 10 bones usually. I don't have enough ribs to do that, like the Hollywood cut, so I just stick to a single bone.
Scott, single bones, or will you do the Hollywood or the Cadillac cuts?
The same way as Drew, I'm single bone. I don't have enough to double bone for one with 2 racks I'm cutting from, and I try to get 10 in the box with a single bone cut.
Dana, I'm assuming you might go more of the single bone just because of Florida Barbecue Association affords you the opportunity to to put so many more in a box, or do you do Cadillac cuts?
I've played with both, and it all depends on how good your ribs are and how many you got. If you got a lot of ribs, if you're doing KCBS, I love KCBS because I can cook 2 slabs of ribs or 3 and get enough bones to build a box. But like the other guy said, if you only got 2 or 3 slabs you're playing with, you don't have enough to, by the time you cut all the way to bone on one side and all the way to bone on the other side, you're lucky to get 3 good bones out of a slab of ribs. It'll take you 3-4 slabs to build a box like that. I have played with it both ways, but pretty much a straight bone guy.
All right, Dana, let me stay with you here just for the final question. Anything that you are doing prior to turn-in that we haven't talked about in regards to the rib box?
Prior to turn-in, absolutely not. Just hoping for luck, and I've got a son that travels with me sometimes, and he's my good luck charm. He'll take one rib and he'll eat it. And if he has sauce all over his face, then I know we got a good chance to win. If there's no sauce on his face, then I don't plan on going to the stage.
Seems like a high percentage shot there. Drew, anything else that you are doing in the post stuff, getting ready to run the box to the judge that we haven't talked about yet?
After I cut them and flip them back over, I usually reglaze them, and then I do put a sprinkle of seasoning and reapply seasoning to them. And then usually spritz them with water just to make them look glistening and put them in the box.
Scott, anything else that you're doing prior to running the box to the judges' tent?
We'll spritz occasionally to bring the lettuce or parsley back up. But normally, no, nothing out of the ordinary. I mean, if the lettuce is dried down a little, we may get a little sheen just with plain water.
All right, Scott, let me stay with you. We're going to pop into the parting shots segment, so this gives you some time if you have anything that you're selling, anything you'd like to promote, where you might be cooking at next, whatever you want. It's kind of an open floor section. Is my thanks to you for laying out for the last 51 minutes or so. So, Scott, the floor is open to you. Pitmaster of Queuing, Stewing, and Brew'N.
We typically use our Southern Q smokers, which are manufactured with a company that I own. Push Southern Q's very hard. We've got one of the number 1 smokers in the Southeast, and I think we do have the number 1 water cooker. But and I'd also thank all the guys that helped me with the Fine Swine and Wicked Q and Grizzly Cooler. Some of those guys are they go above and beyond for us. And just we'll be in Gainesville, Georgia next week, and we'll be out South Haven, Mississippi the following week for the Sam's Regional. So, and you're liable to see us anywhere. We'll go all over.
Dana Hillis, pitmaster of Poppas Smokers. Anything you'd like to promote or otherwise talk about?
We have all kinds of sauces and rubs available. You can go to our website, bigpappascountrykitchen.com, and order up anything you want. Main thing I'd like to run real quick. October 3rd and 4th in Lakeland, we have a thing called the Kid Pack Polk County Project. It's a barbecue throwdown. We're collecting cans of Chef Boyardee microwavable cans. You can go to my website and find a link from Amazon and send us some. We gather a bunch of cans of food for these kids that need something to eat on the weekend. They put together a little package to send home to some needy children that aren't getting much food to eat on the weekend, and we come up with as much cans of ravioli as we can to send these kids home. So if anybody out there can send some to us, man, go to our website, go to the Amazon link, and send us a can or 2 of Chef Boyardee.
Last but not least, Drew McNatt, pitmaster of Hogtied Barbecue.
Yeah, well, so I just wanted to say, thanks, Greg, for having me on. And, I've got some sponsors that have been really good to me through the years. Clorox Company in Kingsford Charcoal, as well as Premier Proteins out of Kearney, Missouri. They've got excellent Berkshire Duroc pork, and then also the Wagyu brisket that helped me to number 1 team of the year in brisket last year. So, I got to give them a shout out. And then, just like Hogtied Barbecue Facebook page or check out my website. Every now and then when we get a wild hair, we decide to do a class every now and then. So if anybody's interested, shoot me a mail, and I'll let you know if we're doing one for next year.
Drew McNatt is the pitmaster of Hogtied Barbecue, currently number 1 in the KCBS for ribs. Scott Smith is the pitmaster of Queuing, Stewing, and Brew'N, currently number 2 in the KCBS for ribs. And Dana Hillis won the ribs category for 2014 in the Florida Barbecue Association, pitmaster of Big Poppas Country Kitchen. Guys, appreciate the time tonight, all the inside tips, tricks, and techniques. Continued success, and we'll talk again soon. Really appreciate it.
Thank you, Greg.
Yep, there they are. The 2014 Ribs Roundtable panel, ladies and gentlemen, yeah! 2 cheers for that. That's right. And a technical folly. Not to be deterred, folks, not to be deterred. Folks, quickly, let me talk to you about the good folks over at the Barbecue Guru, makers of automatic pit temperature control technology, located in Warminster, Pennsylvania. If you're thinking about automatic pit temperature control devices, this is the place to go. They will keep your pit temperature wherever you set it at. Number of different models to choose from. The CyberQ Wi-Fi, the PartyQ, all that good stuff. The Onyx Oven Cooker. Do yourself a favor. Head on over to thebbqguru.com. Check out their products. If you have any questions about what to order, call them directly. 800-288-GURU. That's 800-288-GURU. Or visit the website, thebbqguru.com. And you can make sure that you get exactly what you need. If you have any questions, give them a call. They'll make sure you're outfitted with exactly what you want and what you need. 800-288-GURU or thebbqguru.com. We're back to wrap the show after this. Stick around.
Get in the smoke. Call 877-448-0433 to get on the air. Now, here's your host, Greg Rempe.
All right, welcome back. This portion of the show, the last segment of the show, brought to you by cookinpellets.com. Your number 1 source for quality wood pellets. I use them in all of my wood pellet cookers. For all your pellet-driven cookers, go to cookinpellets.com. Not going to void any warranties or anything like that. Not 50 billion different flavors. You got hickory, and then you have like the premium blend. You can also visit them on Amazon.com or visit the main website, cookinpellets.com. That's Chris Becker and the good people over at cookinpellets.com. Buy your cooking pellets there. You're not going to be sorry that you did that, I guarantee that. All right, here we go. Let's wrap it up. All the way back in the first hour, we were joined by Chef Barry Martin, CB, as we call him here in the industry, CB Martin. Talked about tailgating, talked about some cookers, talked about some recipes, talked about some safety stuff when it comes to tailgating. Visit him at welcometothecookout.com. Welcometothecookout.com. Join in the fun. Then we talked to Mike McCloud, MMA Creative, also the creator of the World Food Championships. New stuff on the World Food Championships for this coming season. Looks like there'll be a second season of the TV show covering the 3rd World Food Championships. Thanks to Mike, as always. And then, thanks to my guest, Drew McNatt from Hogtied Barbecue, Scott Smith from Queuing, Stewing, and Brew'N, and Dana Hillis from Big Poppas Country Kitchen for the 2014 Competition Ribs Roundtable, the most downloaded shows during the course of the calendar year for this show. Certainly no disappointment in the Ribs Roundtable. They all brought it strong, didn't hold anything back, and I appreciate that more than anybody, even more than you listeners. September 11th, 2001. I will never forget. We're going to take a break from the Competition Roundtable next week, but then we'll kick it back with the chicken and close it out for 2014. Until then, this is your program host and proud U.S. American, Greg Rempe. Good night now.